Alright. We're live? Alright, let's go. Alright. This is a song. Skyrim races are like... There's no bad tier, right? I guess introducing Skyrim, right? I've been playing Skyrim on stream. At least I'm gonna try 100% run, but man, it's a big game. There's no bad races. The game is designed so you can be anyone and do anything, so there's literally no bad races in Skyrim. But I do think some of them are better. Mainly, I think that the races do matter if you don't use any exploits. So for instance, like, it doesn't matter what races start with higher sneak or higher sneak or archery, because of the fact that using exploits you can get both of those up to like level 50 in the first like 10 levels using Hadvar and Feindal. So that like kind of like invalidates the Bosmer as like a player choice for skills. What this really comes down to is the starting ability and the passive ability. So Red Guards, for instance, can summon Adrenaline, and they just regenerate stamina like crazy. So that's actually something that you'll see throughout the entire game, because that's useful the entire game, to just be able to go wild on a bunch of enemies all of a sudden. It's great for two-handed builds, great for any melee build. Whereas someone like Khajiits have Night Eye, which is just not useful, period. I do have the races pulled up because I've never played fully through a Bosmer or Imperial run. I don't think it's fair to judge them without looking at it, but yeah. Altmer are good. I guess we can pull up the stats anyways, just so you can look at them. Where is it? High Elf? Survival. That's right, it auto-installs, so you have to consider survival. I don't play with survival. Skyrim's map is not designed around not fast traveling, so I'm never going to play survival. But yeah, Highborn is an amazing ability. Regenerate Magicka, plus 50 Magicka passively. All your spells, all your magical schools are boosted, and you get Fury, which is pretty good early on. The main reason it's so good to be a High Elf is because of the fact that magical skills are like Destruction and Restoration are some of the harder skills in the game to like power level. So having them off very, very strong right away is pretty good. Other than that though, any mage is like capable of any race because of enchanting, so it's not necessary, but you do feel it earlier on before you get your enchanting to 100, so. And obviously getting enchanting to 100 can take like 20 hours of normal gameplay if you really go for it. But no, if you're rushing enchanting, it only takes like 5 hours, so it's not worth it, I think, to be a high elf for a magic build if you would rather look like a Khajiit or an Argonian. But they are good, for sure. Argonians are going to be in good purely because of their ability. Not ability, power. Resist disease, water breathing, higher unarmed damage. That's pretty cool. Lockpicking, that's kind of worthless. Alteration, light armor, pickpocket, restoration sneak. So, like, whatever skills. The big thing is Hisk Skin. Recover health 10 times faster basically just means that you can just hit it and then just start auto-regenning. And as long as your opponent can't, like, isn't doing, like, one-hit damage, you can basically just survive. It's an incredibly powerful ability. Hisk Skin is useful into the late game. Like, a late-game character with, like, really high health can fully regenerate their health in seconds with Hisk Skin. It's, like, incredible. It's one of those abilities that isn't an early game use, it's an entire game use. Overall, though, I do think that your starting skills are weaker, and the passive kind of isn't as good. most people are going to become a vampire or a werewolf. So you'll end up completely immune to disease anyways, and water breathing doesn't matter, because there's like 2 areas in the game where breathing in water actually matters. I gotta turn that down for me. Sorry if it ends up really quiet on the record. But yeah, Argonians are good, like carried to good, purely for his skin. And like I said, I've never played a Bosmer, so let's be fair. Resist disease, like I said, that's worthless. Resist poison, that's actually pretty good. A fair amount of enemies use poison. Command animal, that's pretty worthless. Archery, Feigned All exists. Sneak is bad. Alchemy and Pickpocket. The Pickpocket doesn't matter. Pickpocket's really easy to level. Yeah. For now, Bosmer is going to be the worst race. Just because in vanilla, with no like forced creation club mods, they just offer the least. They don't have anything really good early on. I think the best French case is to say that, like, well, you can use the ability to like get away from like bears early on, but you can outrun pretty much everything but like a saber cat early on, so it's not really worth it for that. And it doesn't work on dragons, I'm pretty sure. Why don't we check? Okay, it's not going to open to that. I'm not messing around with the UESP because some of them have explicit pictures, and we are going to upload this, but more than likely, based on the illusion tree in Skyrim, command animal would not stop dragons. And like animals in this game just are not hard. Anything that's like really difficult stops being an animal and is considered a monster, so it's not really worth it. Bretons. Bretons are like arguably better than high elves late into the game. Unless I'm mistaken, it's because, yeah, they have a passive magic resist and they have an ability to absorb magicka per day. These are actually abilities that you'll see into the late game. With resist magic, the Astronaut Stone, and all 3 traits of resist magic from Alteration Tree, you can get to like almost 100% passively. So you don't have to enchant anything to resist magic completely. It's really strong. Absorbing magic is also much stronger because of the fact that you can turn it into your own. As opposed to just having more magic, which late game you can reduce whatever school you're using to like 0% cost, it's better to be a Breton because you're resisting magic, which even into the late game is important. And absorbing it just makes it easier early on, but also nullifies it later on too. Honestly, I'm going to put Bretons above the Altmer. I think the Altmer are an easier start for a mage, but the Breton have a better end game. I haven't played magic much in Skyrim because I don't like destruction, but I use pretty much everything but conjuration and destruction when I play through, because I always play the same character. Except for when I go out of my way not to. And I remember Bretons were the one that I made the mage character with. Next up are the Dunmer, which I think is going to be our first like okay tier. Resist fire is good. Ancestor's Wrath is a spell that's in the game already. Plus 10 destruction and additionally sparks. So the one good thing about Dunmer is that it starts off your destruction very high. Plus 10 is very nice. Destruction is probably the single hardest skill in the game to level. Because there's no easy exploit to level it. You actually kind of have to like just use either the enchanting skill tree to get it to 0 or just organically use it, but destruction is really slow. So it's actually very nice to have a bonus to leveling to just start off higher with it. As being able to immediately get to apprentice on the skill tree is very nice. Um, Other than that, though, the skills don't really matter. And Ancestor's Wrath, like I said, is literally just a worse destruction spell, so it's literally outclassed like the moment you get to Adept, I think. It's kind of bad. I will say that Dunmer are probably my favorite race to play, just because I like the blue skin. And I like the Elfirs. But they're not that great in comparison. Imperials. You're +5 to enchanting. That's pretty good. Finding gold in chests doesn't matter because there's more gold than you'll ever spend in Skyrim. And then Voice of the Emperor is like a early game illusion spell. I think the fact that you have higher enchanting makes this better than the Bosmer, but not by much. Imperials and Bosmer are tied for the worst. I think this is also why I chose never to play them, because I looked at their bonuses and I was just like, why would I play that? When I could just be someone else. Khajiit. Khajiit are a case where I like them a lot, but I don't think that they're actually explicitly that good. So the early game advantage to playing a Khajiit is that your stealth skills are higher, obviously stealth and lockpick. You have Night Eye, and then you have unarmed claw damage, which is actually 15 points. So it's actually stronger than most early one-handed weapons, until you get to, I believe, Elven or Skyforged steel quality, and even then you have to upgrade it. And you have to take Armsman a few times to surpass claw damage, but the downside to that is that you won't be leveling one-handed, so you'll actually be weaker once you start using swords than if you would just use swords the whole time. Other than that, sneak is really easy to level anyway, so starting off with a high sneak doesn't matter. I think the coolest thing about the Khajiit is honestly just playing as them. They're like a really cool race, but they don't provide any significant bonuses or boosts. I think starting off with a higher destruction is better than starting off with unarmed damage, because destruction can be leveled, but unarmed will just kind of fall off. Except it's the Nord. I'm trying to think if it's okay or good. No, it's like the top of okay, I think. So +50 frost resistance means that Nord warriors are actually very good. The biggest threat you find as a warrior is when you fight someone who starts shooting you with ice and it takes away your stamina. But resisting frost means that you will lose less stamina. It's very good for combat builds. Other than that, you're just built for combat, which is like pretty good. Most like builds are going to need those. At least most warrior builds, but I guess warrior builds are kind of uncommon. The ability, I think, is just a kind of version of fear, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, and it's even shorter than the other ones, too. Two-handed block, light armor, one-handed smithing speed. Starting off with a higher smithing is actually very nice, too. Just because smithing is like a grind skill, it's not organic. I think starting off with smithing and having resist frost is going to put Nords here. I also haven't been considering this, but certain races have certain interactions with other people in the game based on their race. And I think if you're a Nord, like, the entire game is just marginally easier because of that. You literally got that, like, Nord privilege. So, being a Nord also has that advantage, but that's very small. Next up are Red Guards. Red Guards are going here purely for Argonian's sake of adrenaline. Where is it? Oh, R. Stamina regenerates 10 times faster. It's literally the same as his skin. Granted, you only get resist poison, but that's pretty nice, because poison resistance. I don't think there's a way to passively buff it other than racial ability, so not having to enchant anything to resist poison is pretty good. You start off really strong and one-handed. +10 means you can take both levels of Armsman right away, and I believe 25 gets you the one that reduces power attack stamina cost. I could be mistaken. It's inconsequential ultimately. Alteration, archery, block, destruction, smithing. So you've got like a really good assortment of skills to start off with too. Adrenaline Rush falls off because of, I believe, tomato soup, or is it vegetable soup, which achieves the same thing. But that's like kind of cheesy, and I don't think the developers intended it like that. I think it was, you only need one stamina to perform a power attack, so with tomato soup you can just infinitely power attack. I don't think the developers intended that, so I'm going to consider that more like an exploit. So having Adrenaline is probably better than Argonian. Plus everything else about the Red Guard is better, like the skills and the resist poison. Yeah, resist poison versus water breathing. Yeah, you actually have a weakness if you pick Argonian in survival. So I think we'll put Red Guard here. Yeah, no surprise. Orcs are the best. This is for one reason only, Berserker Rage. You take half damage and do double damage. So, that's like really strong. That's something you feel into the late game. Like, if you do that, you can just basically fuck anything up, and there's like nothing that can take Berserker Rage as long as you're not like grinding your levels too hard. You should be able to just annihilate anything with Berserker Rage. I mean, what are the other skills to start off with? Enchanting, smithing, one-handed, heavy armor. I mean, that's like pretty good. Enchanting and smithing too, so you've already got a head start on both of those. And you start off with a really good heavy armor. But mostly, Orc is at the top for Berserker Rage. I think this is the list. I think this is how I feel about the list. Rest in Piss, Wood Elves. I guess it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, like, Wood Elves, like, literally live in a forest, and then you come to Skyrim and it's just like a frozen tundra. Kind of makes sense they're the worst here. I mean, I don't know. That's giving them too much credit, but whatever. Tell me why I'm wrong in the comments. I'll debate all of you at once, and I'll win. I'm not being serious. I'll argue with you back, though. I love arguing with people. I think maybe I'd move Altmer down, but the problem is magic grinding for destruction is really annoying. Same with Dunmer. I think Altmer and Dunmer, High and Dark Elves are just like, grinding magic skills is really annoying. That's also why Breton is so high, because, well, no, Conjuration's easy to grind. Destruction is just really hard to grind. So being able to help with that early on is why Altmer and Dunmer are so high in their tier. Maybe, I think maybe Red Guards are like a little better. Because a Red Guard and a High Elf at level 50 are both going to be equally good at magic. If you choose to, so it doesn't matter. You know what, yeah, honestly, I'd put Argonians above High Elves too. His skin is really strong. It saved me a lot. Alright. I stream on Twitch, Nick is a Neat. I have a VOD channel, Nick is a VOD. And I have a Twitter, Nick is a Neat. Blah, 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 blah. Bye.